All right. In three, two, one. Welcome back to the Alaska Sports Talk podcast. So glad to have you along wherever you might get your podcast. I'm Keaton Homer. You may not remember me, but it's been a week since I've been on the show. So glad to be back. Missed last week's. We
What
are in the
which which
full.
which team were you coaching again? I
I was
I forget.
coaching my son's Mariners team.
Mariners. That's
Yeah,
right. That's
yeah,
right. I
yeah.
can't
Little
believe I
League.
forgot that. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
shocking.
I don't know what I deserved in a prior life or anything like that. My son's playing for the Mariners. My daughter's playing for the Yankees. I'm like, oh my gosh, like here I am cheering for two teams that I never thought I'd cheer for ever. But yes, here we are. I can
The
do it. I can
Yankee thing I
survive.
can understand. That's just no
Yeah,
good. That's
yeah,
no good.
yeah. But it's been busy. It's baseball season. It's baseball season. It's softball season. It's soccer season. It's track and field season. It's a lot of season. So,
Mhm.
as usual, Brad Lowers, Isaiah Vreeman. We're joined by Steve Nerland as well. Obviously, we are getting down to crunch time in high school baseball. Steve, this has to be one of your favorite times of year.
It is. I tell people I'm a pretty much an expert on the weather in April and May. I haven't done so well this year because it's been a pretty cold April and May, but the kids are out there competing. Um, we have a lot of close races. In the Cook Inlet Conference, um, the standings in the league games, the seven league games against the other seven teams in the Cook Inlet Conference, determine your seeding in the tournament, which starts next week. The top two teams get a double bye. The number three and four teams get a bye, and then five plays eight, six plays seven. And so that's how we've set it up. It actually is a format used in a lot of big conferences. The Big Ten is the top four teams get a lot of buys. And so we value the regular season. And so we're going to finish up this weekend with a regular season and then start next Tuesday after Memorial Day, the Cook Inlet Conference.
The Cook Inlet Conference starting on Tuesday at 5 o'clock. You mentioned the seedings there, the 5-6 matchup, or sorry, the 7-6 matchup, 8-5 matchup to start things off on the Cook Inlet Conference. Um, Speaking of the conference, any teams really surprise you? We knew services were going to be good. They're at the top of the division right now, undefeated in conference play, 14-1 overall. Chugiak behind them at 4-1, South right behind them at 4-1, Dimond in the mix as well at 3-2. Has there been kind of a maybe a surprise team for you this year, Steve?
Well, I'll give you another surprise. Diamond beat Chugiak tonight, so both of them are 4-2 with a game to play, and that I think Diamond plays service in that. Um, just looking at from last year's high school season to transitioning to Legion season, Chugiak had a pretty rough high school season last year and came back in Legion. It's kind of same with West. And both of those teams are right in the mix. Um, and so I think that's Service was favored. I think anybody that didn't think they were favored didn't know just it's not Rylan Nikolai, it's the whole other cast of supporting really good players. South has a lot of depth overall, maybe not a lot of older depth. Chugak has done a really good job there under John Sims. They've done an excellent job. And then Diamond, they can surprise you. So, as well as West. West is 3-3. They've started a little slow, but against Tim Davis at the helm, they're going to be very, very competitive.
Well, Steve, I think so much of the game is pitching, and I'm thinking of, I heard you describe a game the other day with a couple dominant pitchers, and even though it was about a week ago, that I think it was South and Service, and with some of the top pitchers on the mound, that had to be one of the more interesting games during the year.
Well, it was a good game until it wasn't. And then Service to got some runs in, and then as it happens, basically anything in high school baseball, it's not like the majors where guys go 5 or 6 innings. Well, they used to go seven or eight or nine, but in high school baseball, with the temperatures the way they are, the coaches are very cognizant of their top pitchers and not letting them go too far when it's 48 degrees out there. And I think that's a credit to our coaches understanding that It's the long game. It's the long game getting to the Cook Inlet Conference and then to the state tournament if you win your way into that. And so I think that that's sort of what happens. Service got some runs in. South pulled their top pitcher, David Feiner, um, just because there probably wasn't a chance to catch up, and Service came on, put some runs on. So that was a pretty defining game for them, I think. They're 6-0. I don't think there's any way they can um, tie with anybody else for the end of the season. That's possible. I suppose that's possible. But you remember, I'm sure both of you gentlemen and Isaiah remembered that I think 2 years ago we had five teams tied at 5-2. That's a record in the Cook Inlet Conference. And then it was all kind of a tiebreaker. And thankfully, uh, we have a whole set of tiebreakers that place people in the right position based on that. But I think this is a very good year for pitching. There's some really dominant pitching, but there's some also good young pitching too that I see out there. I've been to a few games this year. And you know, like they old timers say, it doesn't really matter who plays second base, it's who's on the mound. So that really determines how teams do in ball games.
Kind of wonder too about if people understand how long the baseball season really is, where I think practice starts in March, then you have a quick high school season. And then if kids are playing both high school and Legion will go quite a while. And then quite often teams go out in September and October. So I think the leadership there has really developed even a increased interest in baseball, and it's just amazing how long they play.
So 10 years ago, the Cook Inlet Conference had a 10-game season. This year, every single one of our teams will play, even with a couple of games that got rained or snowed out, 18 or 19 games even before we have the Cook Inlet Conference tournament. And that was because our coaches wanted to play more games. Because in baseball, you cannot get better practicing against yourself because your top pitchers will never pitch against your best players because they're saving themselves to pitch against the opposition. So it's one of those things. I know there are other sports where you can get better practicing, basketball in particular. Football, yes, you can get better by practicing. Baseball, you can't get better unless you play against top pitchers. And so we've given that opportunity to our teams to play more games, league games, games out of conference against, Colony, Wasilla, Lathrop, all of the teams that are in Division One baseball. Soldotna's had a great year. They beat Service, their only loss. Um, so that's how you get better, is playing tougher competition and seeing what the other team has and getting live at bats. And so I'm proud that we've made that choice to go to 3 and 4 game weeks. And that means you've got to have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players that are able to step out there and pitch.
Steve, you mentioned some of that tougher competition. What's it kind of look like maybe even around the state? I mean, down the southeast with Sitka and Juneau and up in Fairbanks and things like that. What are some of the teams around the state looking like as we get closer to state tournament time as well?
So Juneau came up here and made a 3 game trip and won 3 games. So they're right there at the top in the top teams. Sitka is not quite as strong as last year, but they have the probably the dominant number one pitcher in the state in Calhoun, who was I think he was the MVP, if you will, of the state tournament last year. I'm not sure they
Yeah.
give an MVP, by the way, but they should have because he was pretty dominant. So those two teams, now only one team comes from the Southeast Conference, other than a potential at large. Um, Lathrop is now in a conference with West Valley and Monroe up in Fairbanks. One team comes from that. And then there's 4 teams in I think it's the Rail Belt Conference, Wasilla, Palmer, Colony, and Soldotna. And Soldotna's at the top, but they have a tournament that determines their top 2 winners. So it's a little more balanced this year. Then I think the teams from outside of Anchorage are seeing we need to play we need to play games in high school. We need to play games in Legion. We need to work out in the off season, and I think that's good for baseball in Alaska.
Well, it's kind of interesting to me that Keaton brought up Southeast, and it's really tough sometimes for them to commit or to compete in football, to compete in basketball, and kind of Anchorage is the dominant team. But it's pretty amazing how often Southeast has came in, sometimes maybe without a lot of fanfare, and they've done so well in the baseball playoffs, and quite a few titles go down to Southeast.
Absolutely. Juneau and Sitka have been very tremendous competitors over the last several years. And they are, I know Juneau came up here and played. Sitka came to Kodiak and played early in the season to just see other teams play. And maybe their record isn't as good as maybe some of the other teams, but in any one game, if they have Calhoun pitching, that coach of the other team is wondering, how do I scratch out a run or two? That's maybe the best you could do, or try to wait him out and get him to the pitch limit, or wear him out. That's I'm sure what our coaches are thinking when they've got those two teams from Southeast.
Well, I just got a text message, and apparently practice is slowing down up at service, but I think Willie Paul is letting us know that Rylan was hitting in the low 90s and up to 93 a while back. And I want to tell you, Steve, when you're an umpire and you're behind the plate, you want to make sure a catcher is exceedingly talented when someone's throwing 92, 93.
You mean you're not looking for a freshman that's like 5'5" and 140 pounds that he can block the ball? Is that what you're saying, Coach?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. You want to be protected because this young man is fantastic player, competitor, not only on the mound but in the field defensively and obviously with the bat. Um, the joke amongst old time coaches, well, they would have just walked him every time because it doesn't take four pitches; you just put him on. So, but I'm sure there are coaches that will pitch around him a little bit in the state tournament, but he's because I'm pretty sure they're going to get there. Let's just put it that way. Service.
I think they're in. I think they're
Yeah.
in.
I think that's
yeah.
a good bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say they got a pretty good chance, even if they lose, that they would be in at large.
Yeah, I'd say they've got that pretty much locked in. So
yeah, I think that's pretty good bet.
Sticking kind of with the service theme, Steve, were you coaching Willie Paul when you
yes, I
were
did. Yes, for 4 years.
All
Four
right.
years. He was a great competitor. He was a catcher and an outfielder. Not a big guy, very
Bill?
strong. Competition. Coaching young people over the years, you have some guys that are, out there to have fun and compete, but then you have other guys that are out there to compete and win. And Willie was one of those guys. He was always looking for an angle, and he's got a great coaching staff around him in high school, and then in Legion, he adds a few other guys to his coaching staff, and he's done a tremendous job. Um, at Service the last number of years. So developing players in the off season, and like Brad mentioned, everybody's undefeated in the gym in March, but that's when you get things going. But in reality, the top players are doing baseball just like they are anywhere else year round. They're either going to a workout facility or to the dome, or maybe they have the opportunity to go travel with a travel team out in the fall or in the early spring. I know Rylands was on I think another team that competed in a tournament. And of course, in high school, you can do that. You can compete for another team. So, but he was just there for a weekend. But I'm sure he's all in for the Cook Inlet Conference and the state tournament.
I was kind of
Steve,
wondering.
I've been in
Oh,
the
go ahead.
dome a few
Graham.
times. because you can bring your grandkids over there, and there's a guy working over there. He's got his own part. He's got he's blocking pitches, he's hitting off the tee. He's got I don't know, a parent figure or a coach that's feeding the machine. And I'm thinking this guy is serious. I wonder what level he's at, because he's pretty impressive. And I went and talked to him. He told me he was the Bartlett catcher. And I said, well, I didn't recognize you because I'm basically the king of the JV umpires. So I don't get to see that many varsity games, but it's an example of what you said, how hard they work. And also, I think I've said before, is having basketball players come up to you and say, hey, I can't come to practice Saturday if we have it at 10 because I got to go to this showcase. And I don't remember that happening so much over the years.
Well, it happens a little bit. And I think that's a maturation of our coaches, is to sort of understand in the high school season, um, at college baseball, for those that are at the very top, and Rylan certainly is one of those. There are opportunities for not only playing time, but NIL money and all of that. And so that just kind of comes with the territory from that standpoint. And it's really not about team loyalty. It's really he'll be around for the Cook Inlet Conference tournament. He'll be around for the state tournament where it really matters. So I get that. I understand.
Always important to have your best players around for state championship.
Absolutely.
I mean, you gotta have those guys.
Yes.
Gotta want those. Um, you've been an integral part behind the scenes of Alaska baseball for years. I think you founded and helped find the Alliance for American Legion Baseball, were the president for a little while. I don't know if people realize the amount of effort behind the scenes to get a season up and going here in the state of Alaska. What are some of the challenges year in and year out that baseball faces up here in Alaska?
Yeah, thanks, Keaton. So let's just start with thank goodness for field turf. Because if
Right?
we didn't have
Mm.
field turf on a lot of our fields, we'd be one or two games into the season right now, honestly. Um, Field turf, the decision to that our organization made to put field turf on Mulcahy, and then we're able to get some funding from the state to do Kaczynski 3 and 4, followed by Bartlett. We did the whole outfield there, and we're actually looking at the possibility of adding another all-field turf field, because in the month of April, we just play exclusively at Bartlett. Um, maybe our JV teams could get a few more games if we had another field, as well as some of the other Division II teams. So we're kind of putting together a plan and maybe a little fundraising thing to see if we can't add another all-field turf field. And we actually are lucky here in Anchorage. We have, as part of the Anchorage School District contract, um, we're able to clear, not our organization, but actually Diamond alumni and my friend Don Winchester, clear all the football and soccer fields and tracks, as well as the Bartlett baseball field, so that we can start in the middle of April. And even though it's chilly, it certainly helps us. So my response was thank goodness for field turf, because I know that that makes a huge difference in getting play underway in Alaska.
Steve, I think of one of my favorite fields. It's Taylor Young Field up at South, and it was beautifully made and grandstands and a beautiful grass field. But essentially, when you're up on the hill, July was really the only month. And even though, a lot of pure baseball people would say, you know, you can't bring turf in here, you got the turf in there where you can start your games a little sooner. I'm going to be there tomorrow night, maybe the next two nights for games. And it's just a beautiful setting. And the turf really has improved since it was first in there. And it's made it a beautiful ballpark once again.
Yeah, we Taylor Young at South High is named in the remembrance of Taylor Young, a young man who I actually was able to coach a little bit. he, not to digress, but he was a young man who was really, he was a freshman. And back then in the day, freshmen didn't get to play a lot because we had fewer high schools. And he played on the service JV team, even though he lived in South. And then his freshman year rather, he played for South, and he tragically died in an accident that he fell off the side of a car. And his family and the fans at that time um, went and looked to build a field at South High in his name, and they did. And it's a great field that has field turf, but it is like exactly like you said, it's a little higher. Now, last year they were able to play on it much sooner, but this year I think tomorrow might be the first game on Taylor Young, but it'll be a great. It's actually I think South's senior night there tomorrow night, as I think
Oh,
there may be a JV game as well. But
that's good because
it's
it'll be
great.
longer in the cold. That'll be good
So
for it to be senior night.
yes, well, that's one of those things. It's a league game, so the game won't have a time limit, so they'll do whatever they can.
It
But
just keeps getting better and better.
yeah. So the just to finish up the issue is we're looking to do a fundraising event later on in June that's designed to, if there's folks that want to be involved in a maybe a musical thing, that they could go and be a part of it. A portion of the ticket sales are going to go to American Legion Baseball, and our goal is going to be to do another field tour field. And without getting into any musical things, it's two groups that you might recognize. You've heard of tribute bands. There's going to be the battle of the bands between the Beatles and the Stones tribute bands at the Performing Arts Center, and for 4 nights. And our American Legion organization is going to get the net proceeds of that, and we're going to use that toward putting another field tour field in Anchorage.
Right. Hey, this sounds
Nice.
like an awesome event.
Yes.
I might be coming in for that. I
Yes.
like
Well,
it.
see me, we can get you hooked up with some tickets, sir,
All
Pete,
right.
and
All
all of
right.
you guys, Brad and
Yeah,
Isaiah.
these are groups I remember.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you don't have to worry about not knowing the words. There you go.
That's it.
Steve, I was
Um,
wondering about fundraising and the fact that I think kids have the opportunity to sell raffle tickets, and even though you have to ask for a fair amount of money for a sport that requires a fair amount of money, especially being an outsourced sport. I mean, really, you provide an opportunity for every kid to be a part of it if they really want to.
So it really is Alaska Airlines. Scott Haberstead and the folks at Alaska Airlines have given us that opportunity for um, 2 airline tickets anywhere they fly. Our players sell the raffle tickets for $10. Each team that sells gets credit for I think $9.40, which is pretty good in the raffle world of youth sports, that you get that kind of return, and that all that money goes toward the team fees or the player fees. And then any extra money that's created goes back to the team for uniforms or equipment. So we do that. We have another fundraising um, opportunity for teams. And again, we don't require teams to do anything. That it does cost to have um, play American Legion baseball. We have our great umpires that we need to pay. We have baseballs. We have permits. We have insurance. Um, and so all of that contributes. Um, but many teams raise really literally over 10 or $12,000 to go toward that by selling these raffle tickets. Thank you to Alaska Airlines, as well as we have another fundraising activity, as well as some teams do their own. They have their own plans of what they want to do. So we're lucky, and we've wanted to do that so that it wasn't just the parents having to uh, fund entirely their players' high school season, or as we move into it, the Legion season. So we're glad we have those opportunities for players and teams to raise money.
You mentioned Alaska Airlines. I think you've had a hand in the Alaska Airlines Basketball Classic tournament as well. You've had your hand in so many different athletic arenas. Why are you so passionate about helping young people through sports here in the state of Alaska?
Well, I grew up, I played high school basketball at my alma mater, West High, and then I played Legion baseball. There was no high school baseball. So I got a good indoctrination to that. And my son played, my son Taylor, and then I've got grandkids now playing. I've got three grandsons, all playing baseball at different levels. One in high school, one in playing Legion, the other one in Little League and comp baseball. So I've enjoyed that. Alaska Airlines has been tremendous for our organization in helping bring teams up, bringing college coaches. We have a college coaches clinic with 6 college coaches coming up in June. So the young players that want to participate in that and can listen to what a college coach says, and our hope there is maybe they say, wow, that's different. I'm going to do that. Or, my coach told me to do that. I think I'm going to do that. And that's kind of why we try to bring coaches up. We're going to look at bringing coaches, some college coaches up again in November. Unfortunately, Major League Baseball the last year has not allowed us to bring major league coaches up in November due to their rules. But if they change it, we'll go back to that. If not, we're going to probably bring some college coaches up in November to work indoors with players because, again, the players that want to be successful figure out a way, whatever it is, where it's the dome or one of the other workout areas in town, or just conditioning to try to do workouts to get better.
Well, Brad, we got anything else we want to talk about with Steve while we have him here?
Uh, I'm kind of curious about Cole Emerson. I mean, Mariner fans getting excited. I know Isaiah's not just a Seahawk fan; he cheers for the Mariners as well. I'm curious with Alaska Airlines having Seattle such a close proximity, and we don't have time for you to speak about Oregon, but I know at the Sports Businessman lunch you give that the Duck report. So, how about 30 seconds on Oregon?
Well, they're in the Big Ten tournament. They got the number 3 seed, beat USC in 14 innings. I did watch that on a squeeze bunt. So if you're, South or Service, who both love squeeze bunts, you'd be a fan. Um, and so they're going to play a winners bracket game, but that team have already played 2 games. So I love the Big Ten tournament because it rewards the regular season, just like, excuse me, our Cook Inlet Conference, our number 1 and 2 seeds, they get a double bye. They deserved it. The 3 and 4 seeds get a bye. So I love rewarding the regular season rather than just saying, one plays 8, all of that stuff, and you have to battle your way through. So um, anyway, that's a little bit of recap about the Big Ten and as well as the Cook Inlet Conference.
I like it. Well done. Well done. All right. Fantastic. Steve, feel free to hang around. I think John Lewis might be trying to get on, perhaps. We might be talking some track and field stuff with John Lewis over at South Anchorage High School. Isaiah, I know that you were down in Minnesota for Anchorage Wolverines, and we'll get to that stuff. But Steve, always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
You bet. Thanks, Keaton. Thank you,
Thanks, Steve.
Brad. Thanks, Isaiah.
Isaiah, all right. Give us the report from Minnesota there.
Well, in Minnesota, it was warm, much warmer than here, which
All right.
was
That's all we needed to know.
which was really nice.
Kidding.
Yeah, it was a great weekend. It was basically went down there for a board of governors meeting, and they were talking about things. There's some things down in the NCAA that could lead to some changes a little bit for the North American Hockey League. Nothing's finalized on that yet, but it was a good trip. And then watched the semifinals for the Robertson Cup, and it was pretty impressive. You had Austin out of Minnesota. You had the Minnesota Wilderness, which is obviously, in our division. And then we also had the Lone Star Brahmas, and we had the Maryland Black Bears. And those were four really, really, really good teams. So it was pretty impressive to watch that. Very, very impressive. In fact, that game is going on right now. I'm trying to see if I can find the score right now, but oh yeah, Maryland ended up beating the Minnesota Wilderness 3-2 in overtime to win the Robertson Cup. That game was tonight.
Oh wow, I
Oh
didn't realize it was tonight.
yeah, basically what they do is the semifinals, so all the division, Midwest, South, Northern, and East. I think those were all four of the divisions. Each of their winners out of their division basically play the best of three on that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Then Monday's a day off, and then the championship, just a one game series. That's it for the championship, and that's where Minnesota played Maryland, and they ended up on the losing end 3-2. That Maryland team was pretty impressive. They were good. They were really good.
Well, I don't know. To me, yesterday, and you can confirm this, Isaiah, it was one of the most amazing days in sports. And Keaton will probably care, and I do as well as a dual citizen person. Montreal defeated Buffalo. That was in Game 7.
Yep, I was.
I don't even know how I know that. And then you think
Somebody
about,
must have told you that.
No, what?
Someone must have told you that.
Yeah. So okay, my sister. But then how about the Spurs and Oklahoma City, double overtime? And I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I think this kid from San Antonio is going to be a player. I think he scored in the 40s, he rebounded in the 20s, and he hit from the logo to, bring it about to overtime. So he was pretty amazing game overall. And then Isaiah, you and I have a new favorite player, Cole Emerson, who hit a home run.
He did
First hit.
First hit of his career, 3-run
No big
homer.
deal.
Yeah.
Wow.
They lost
right.
tonight, by the way, which was disappointing to the White Sox.
Hey, the guy that plays for the Spurs, is it Tim Duncan, David Robinson? Is that no? Oh, no, okay, no. Oh, never mind. I'm kidding. I know Wemby. All right.
Wemby weighs probably as much as one of David Robinson's legs.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
he's good enough. I'm going to memorize his name.
Yeah. All right. Switching gears a little bit. John Lewis joining us here on the podcast. Coach Lewis, welcome in. Glad to have you on.
Hey, it's exciting to be here tonight.
All right.
What school do you coach?
Well, let me see here. Would that be South?
You're a billboard.
I like it. You got to rep it. You got to rep it.
You got to rep it. Exactly.
What sport's harder to coach? You're the head football coach at South. You guys are coming off of a state championship. Or is it track and field? Being a track and field coach.
100%. It's hard. It's harder to coach track and field. 100%.
All right.
I'll give it to track. I tell you what, doing boys and girls at the same time, you have different levels of toughness. And again, our toughest athletes are our female athletes. The girls are just awesome. Those girls will work through any amount of pain. You can always count on them. I love them. Track and field, there's so many different things, from jumps to throws to runs, distance. It's crazy. And try and keep that all together with boys and girls. It's hurting cats, but it's a blast.
Don, I think about when teams are good in football, they're usually good in track. And, there's, I guess, some sports where they encourage you to just kind of stick with their sport year round. But track is, kind of breaks that up. It kind of works different muscles. It's great for conditioning. You like being in the weight room, but you got to like it when your football players also do track.
You absolutely do. And not just the foot. We have football. We have flag football. We share some athletes with soccer. We've pulled a lot in from cross country running. I'll tell you this, and you're exactly right when you're talking about a lot of these athletes now are playing just one sport. And I gotta say, do you consider yourself an athlete if you only stick to one sport, or is it the kids who are doing multiple sports? They're considered athletes because they're being coached by different coaches, they're doing different things. And when it comes to track and field, it's awesome to be on a team sport, but when you're in that lane or you're in the ring throwing, uh, it's you. It's all about you. You can't blame anybody else. It's all about you. And that really makes a difference when we push our football players to join. They start to find out, I'm really fast. No, you're quick. You're not fast. And then they start to find out what speed is all about. And it's really made us better. It's made our flag football team better. It makes our girls and boys soccer teams better. All around track and field is that sport that really connects.
Well, the state
Wow.
championship. Oh, go ahead, Brad.
Pete.
Oh, okay. I was going to say the state championships are right around the corner. We got the Region 4 track meets, track and field meets coming up next week. I'm sure you've kind of, gone through practice obviously already and things of that nature and getting times down. Tell us about some of the ladies on your team, some of the guys on your squad, names that people should know at South.
Names at South, I'd start with the boys. You're going to look at a lot of. We're really considered this season. We're being carried a lot by our distance team. Babyorn Flagstad. We have other young. We have the Hearth brothers. We have Finnegan, names that you may not recognize, but a lot of these young boys were coming from a state cross country team. And then you got throwers like for us in the football, and you guys kind of see us in football. But then we have the Lucas Griffin. We have a Julian Jones. Those guys are in the high rankings right now in throwers, and you would look at them and say they're not throwers, but they're beating the other guys. One, they're used to always competing, being smaller, but they're just, I mean, again, great coaching staff. A lot of my football coaches also coach track. I've been fortunate with great coaches like Jerry Ross that comes over from cross country running. Rosie Smith, who used to be a fabulous track star from Bartlett and UAA. She also joins our staff. Man, those type. Anna Green for the girls. She's the blaze. She's speed. She runs from a 100 to a 200 to a 400. She's a soccer girl who decides, you know what, soccer's not for me. She comes out. Alexia McCarter is another senior who's kind of stepped out. She's now running just a blaze. Rachel White from our volleyball team. She's a great jumper. Man, we're just lucky to have these great athletes from all these other sports contributing to South Anchorage and trying to put numbers on the banners. That's what we're looking for.
How about throwing Chugiak out there, because Keaton often tells us that the boys are set and the girls are solid, and yet we haven't really broke that down. And I know in conversation with you a little earlier today, you were saying it's really something that looks like everybody's playing for second place.
When you're battling, when you're looking at, again, alumni Chugiak 1987, gotta love it. Our big reunion's coming up next year. Chugiak, Melissa, and her staff at Chugiak have been phenomenal. Looking back at the dates, from 2016, it's South Chugiak, battling back and forth for region champs and state champs. Melissa and her crew, the Mustangs, for boys and girls, they've been dominant these last few years. Scotty Campbell at Dimond really tried to pound it in there with the girls last year. Got close. A couple years ago, Bartlett blasted in there. Got close. We got close last year. And again, it's all about respect. We were there at one time with our girls, winning back to back. and then now it's Chugiak. You just got to respect the programs and how they develop. And you would look at Chugiak High School with the numbers. There's not that many numbers, but out there they bleed track and field, and that's all about the coaching out there.
Yeah, they have a tremendous coaching staff out there, and there's not a lot of turnover in the coaching staff necessarily, and I think that's a huge key to build success. And teams that have coaching staffs that have been there, 5, 8, 10 plus years, you see consistency, and I think that's something you've kind of built with your programs, whether that's been football, track and field, or anything like that. You guys at South, especially this academic year, have had tremendous success on and off the field. What has been the key, maybe this year and even over the last few years, of why South has been so dominant on the field and off the field?
Oh, when you say on and off the field, you're exactly right. From almost everything that we're trying to do, from cross country running, from volleyball, from swimming, from tennis, football, boys and girls. And then you have track and field. You got baseball. You got basketball. Almost won it this year. Hockey wins it this year.
Yeah.
Wrestling, it's been dominant. It's been number 2 going up against that academy team up there doing their battle. When you look at South Anchorage, we've been fortunate to have a lot of great coaches inside our building, but it's the belief factor of you got to win it for South. I know we come up with our nicknames, the dark side and all that. The whole point of the dark side is because you want everybody, if everybody hates you, that means you're doing something right. And we are. We're doing it from athletics. We're doing it from our school spirit, our community, and our just the student body and the staff. We look at Dimond High. Dimond High has a wonderful connection of staff and loyalty and energy. We want to do that times 10. And that's kind of been the biggest thing for us. We've been fortunate with our head principal, Luke Amon, and our activities principal, Willie Overgard. They believe in the same thing. So they want us as coaches to build winners, not to look across town to see who could I transfer to get in, but it's what can I build? And I gotta say, that is part of the success, and that's the big success for Chugiak also. When you look at track and field, is they take athletes and they make them into great athletes. We do the same at South. We grab everybody we can in all of our sports. We're not looking for all the best. We're looking for the ones that want to play and win for South, and we as coaches make great athletes out of them and great Wolverines. That's the dark side, baby.
Think about the rivalry between, I think of Dimond and South, and I think when you said the dark side, everybody hates the dark side. I can't disagree. But my baby sister, so she graduates from Dimond. So my theory is all the Dimond graduates are now parents, and they live up on the hill, and so all their kids go to South. So a lot of the South kids have Dimond alumni, and so that's just a little extra zing that goes into that rivalry. But really, congratulations to South. It's hard for me to say sometimes, but what a sports season and how accomplished you were this year. And it kind of goes back to something that's come up on the sports talk before, and that is when teams really support each other. The football team cares about the flag football team, and the track team cares about the wrestling. It really helps you be as accomplished as you were this year.
Well, and you know as well as I do, as you sit there, you were at Dimond forever. You're still Dimond. You're still maroon and gold. And you're always going to be maroon and gold, and you should. But you're fair, and you look at all these other schools, and when they're pushing back and forth to be the best, it's not about just my school is great because of this one program. You don't want to be known as the school that has a good program. You want a school that has the great programs, even if they're second or third. people have to beat you, and then when they beat you, then they know they've earned something. And that's kind of, again, that's the beauty. That's the beauty of high school sports, and that's the beauty that we've been trying to do at South Anchorage. Is again, we love you to hate us. We want you to hate us because that only means we're doing something right. And man, I can't wait for next season. But right now, it's region track, and there are going to be some great battles on the track as well as in the throwing area, as well as in the jump pits, starting on Friday to Saturday. It's hard to sit there and communicate this one specific person to this other person. It's going to be relays battling each other. It's going to be runners and throwers battling each other. And just another shout out, just as we watch other athletes. Service has this one athlete, Emilia Zeech, if I said the last name right. This girl is a senior, and I've seen her from the beginning. She's great in jumps and hurdles and anything she touches. That really builds. That service program has been building up. They got some young coaches out there, been doing some great things. You know about Scotty. Scotty has a Watkins girl who could do anything. I mean, she jumps like her bones are made out of, bird bones are just light. She just flies in the air. But she's out there as a hurdler, as a high jumper. She's going to sprint. There's going to be some great different battles throughout the next 2 days. It's really going to show who is truly the fastest, the strongest, as well as the ones that can leap off this planet. It's going to happen this weekend, and we really hope to get all the people out there to watch it. But I really hope weather's great for Dimond, because you guys got that swirling wind, drives
That's
us
right.
nuts.
It's not going to happen. The weather at Dimond this time of year. Come on.
Oh, it's going to be 60 degrees at 9 a.m. when you're trying to jump with frostbite. Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Hey, Keaton, I know we're pushing our time limit, which I don't know. I just think about John Lewis. I'd like to have him at halftime. I'd like to have been in that halftime locker room and just come storming out. And John, we thank you for sharing it.
Absolutely.
Sharing with us. And we always call it part one because it's so good. And with you and Steve Nerland, we've covered a lot of the sports. So Keaton, I think, I don't know, when you give us a chance for one more thing, we'll be ready to maybe wrap this one up.
Hey, look, John doesn't know, but back in 2005, I was playing football at Chugiak High School, and they came out to Chugiak. I think this is their second year as a football program. And
Yes, sir.
It was a heck of a ball game. They blocked a game-winning field goal attempt, and I will never forget that my senior year. And it was a huge win.
Mike Petrovich blocks it. I still have the football because that got South Anchorage in the second year to the playoffs,
Yes,
baby.
it did. Yes, it did.
And
I remember that.
And guess who we beat that year? Dimond High.
Yeah.
We knocked
It's all
out the
full
number
circle.
one team.
Full circle.
Woo!
All right. John, we'll catch up again. We'll have you on later on. Always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
All right. John Lewis of South Anchorage High School joining us here on the Alaska Sports Talk Podcast. Always full of energy. Always fun to talk to John. And get his insights and things like that. Brad, Isaiah, anything for the good of the order before we sign it off?
Well, just to finish up talking about John Lewis, I mean, you go over to South, he's got his office right outside the gym. He's keeping track of everybody in the halls. He's PA for basketball. He's running the halftime half-court shot. He's the first guy on the floor when somebody gets hurt. So I usually refer to him as the mayor of South Anchorage. And I think we saw a lot of that tonight.
I like it. Isaiah, anything?
No, we've covered a lot of ground this podcast. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Alaska Sports Talk Podcast. Remember, like, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. For Brad Lowers, Isaiah Vreeman, myself, Keaton Homer, thanks a lot to our guests, Steve Nerland, and also John Lewis joining us here today. That's going to do it for this episode.